winner went round 1, 2, 3.
Hello. How is everyone doing? Sorry, for some reason I had a really weird echo there. Apologies for that. Welcome to the Percher TV, everybody. We've got Haz from Unpopular Theory podcast, and we've got Sav from Football Heritage. How are we doing, boys?
All good.
Good, man. Good.
We're going to do something a bit different today. We're not going to talk about just Spurs, which is never fun anyway. We're going to talk about all the football that happened this weekend. You guys are up for it? It'll be a bit of a laugh. We can just go through all the sort of games. I'll put the ticker down below, so it's all the results if you've forgotten any. Let's start with you, Haz. What was you support Chelsea? So let's talk Chelsea Wolves. Let's start that one off. Why not?
Good start.
First of all, Frank Lampard coming in. What was your thoughts on that? And second of all, what happened at Molineux?
Well, firstly, the Frank Lampard question, I just thought with him coming in, I think it just makes sense. I think at the moment, until we get the permanent manager sorted, it's just a matter of morale, boost a bit of morale around the stadium. We're not expecting, I know in the past we've had caretaker managers when in the Champions League, which I think we're, as Chelsea fans, just dreaming a bit too much there, but you never know kind of thing. But I think it's just a bit of morale. He's not going to come in and win the first game, obviously. Our current, we don't have a clue what our best lineup is. We don't have a clue anything or where anyone should play. So it's a matter of see if Frank Lampard can sort that out. Everyone loves him, so yeah, the morale helps. But I can't answer your second question, mate. I don't know what happened at Wolves. We didn't play well as usual.
I was going to say though, the goal from Matthias Nunez was something else. Was that goal of the weekend? Do we think? Sav, what was your thoughts on the with the Wolves Chelsea game? Because what do you think is going on there?
I just think Chelsea are. We talk a lot in football, don't we, about rebuilds, about transition years. If ever the words rebuild and transition were to be used accordingly, I think it's Chelsea this year. You could say they're a complete mess. I think that will be determined by what actually happens next year as to whether or not they're a complete mess now. I think they had to go through this, right? They were an aging team that got a new owner, new manager, new technical director, 14 new players, new scouts, new medical team. When you get all of that in the space of 6 to 9 months, I don't know what people expect. I think people expect you just go out there and everything's going to be cohesive and everyone's on the same page. And I think there was always going to be this kind of bedding in period. So for me, I've said all year, I don't think it really matters what Chelsea do this year. I don't think their remit was Champions League or bust. I think a lot of people want to put that on them to say, oh my God, they've not got Champions League, but Chelsea are well off enough that not making the champion, they're not Spurs, right? It's not like Levy who needs the Champions League money. Chelsea will get an Enrique or an Nagelsmann who will have the summer to work with some very talented players like Nkunku still to come in, who's a phenomenal talent. And then I think once they get in, a Vlahovic, an Osimhen, I don't know, a centre forward type, and they get rid of the likes of Pulisic, Ziyech, I don't know, some of the old Aubameyang, some of the older players, I think they're going to be fine. But at the moment, it's all fun and games over there, isn't it? So, yeah, look, I think they just need this season to end quickly, like many clubs.
I think people forget as well, because of a political war in Ukraine, we've lost an owner, we've lost 2 managers, and everyone says, yeah, you spent 600 million, but look what's actually been happening in the whole club because of something that's been going on elsewhere. That's triggered so much between our club. Don't get me wrong, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, hopefully, in the future. And there's been a bit of a clear out. And yeah, you've got to love Abramovich for everything he's done for the club. But people forget what's happened, how much has changed for us just in the last 9-10 months.
Massively.
To be honest, I don't even think we'll probably be doing too well next season. I think it'll still be a couple of seasons to transition where we want to be. But we'll see. I must admit though, when I see the other day I was out actually at the pub and I see something coming through about Barcelona spending, I think it was the referees or something, wasn't it? They only got fined for I don't actually know what's going on with it, but they got.
I think that was something to do with them hiring someone that was an ex-referee because I think
or something like that.
it
So
was
anything financial that comes up,
stuff,
I do fear that is that going to be us one day in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, or something. But yeah, hopefully we know what we're doing in terms of spending, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I think with Chelsea, I think people, it's very easy, and we see a lot of it. And Sav probably will sort of vouch on what I say. We see a lot of people within certain communities, Spurs communities, others, sort of, let's all laugh at Chelsea. But let's be frank and honest. What right do we have to laugh at Chelsea at the moment? Yeah, they're below us in the league, but to next season, we know they've signed well. Yes, it hasn't started, but you can't expect 12. Was it 12 players they've signed?
And I think it was something like 14, wasn't it? 14 or 15.
14, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So they've signed 14 players. And this is how I did feel a little bit for Graham Potter. Maybe it was right for him to go. I don't know. I don't really watch too much into it. But I sit and go, you're asking a manager to go in and make wholesale changes with players that, let's be frank and honest, I don't think he would have wanted. I don't think he would have wanted to sign that many players and of those sort of valued players. I could be wrong. But it doesn't matter really who you are. You need time to bed those players in. But the new manager, we know that
with Graham Potter, I think, and this may be, I don't know if all other Chelsea fans would agree with this, so it'd be good to see if they do. But for me, when you're losing at home to Southampton, or you're losing at home to Villa, or wherever you lose, we've lost so many games, we've lost track. You want to see some reaction. You want to see a reaction at the manager. You want to see, you want to see him get angry in the press conferences. You want to see some passion. You know what I mean? If you don't see any of that, it's always, the boys are the best and all this and all that. He's too professional. If that makes sense. I don't know if you count that as like a bad thing, but it feels like a bad thing to the fans sometimes because you want a reaction. You want something, some passion coming out, and I didn't see any of that. That's why I lost my faith in him a little bit.
I think it was always going to be a poison chalice for whoever came in as the first manager under a new regime, right? This isn't the Roman Abramovich era anymore. You know, I think when Roman came in, talking like I know him, you know, like he's coming around for dinner or something. You know, when Roman Abramovich came in and chucked all this money at it, there wasn't this great wealth across the Premier League. And I think now when you look at it, it's all right saying, oh, well, Chelsea have got billionaire owners. All right, but so have Newcastle. So have City, so have Spurs, so has Liverpool, so have Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? It's now everyone's got billionaire owners now. So I don't think it's quite the same. But I think there's enough good players there that get to the end of the season, which is why I think the Frank Lampard thing, I don't think it matters. I think from a sensational headline point of view, to give us football fans something to talk about, it was, oh my God, Lampard's gone back. In reality, it's 8 games in a season where Chelsea aren't getting Champions League anyway. I don't think it matters if they get Europe. It's probably a good thing if they don't get Europe, so they can play once a week, trim the squad down from the 94 players that they've got to maybe 20 like most other squads, and give a manager the summer to go in there. Because if I'm Nagelsmann, if I'm Enrique, whoever's going to join Chelsea, I'm looking at it right now going, do I want to join that now? Do I want to join that and go straight into the fire of having no time to stamp my identity, my plan, my ethos, whatever it is, for 8 games, and then we're going into the summer maybe a little bit disheartened? Maybe, would that be the word? Or do I want to pick it up as soon as the season finishes and I've got a blank slate? Right, give me this team to work on for the summer. Let me get in a few of my own players as well. And now this is me from the beginning of the season. So I think it makes sense. But listen, I don't laugh at teams like that, Perchy. You know that.
Agreed. Same. Me too.
I can't laugh at that when I watch my own club winning 1 trophy in 22 years. I can't laugh at the most successful team in the Premier League for the last 2 decades. So yeah,
agreed. I think we've sort of talking enough about Chelsea. Let's move on and let's go and talk about Man United beating Everton. So Man United seem to be in a weird one where they're winning games and then they're losing games. They're very inconsistent. So, but do we think Man United are going to finish in the top 4? I think, personally, I do. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think they will. I think, like you said, they're so inconsistent. they are slowly starting to think. I think Eric Ten Hag starting to look like a good manager. There's always questions when any player, even managers, come over from the Dutch league. Not that it's a bad league, but they produce all the best players in the world. But there's always question marks because the stats are crazy over there. So I think he's looking like a good manager. We can't forget it's his proper first season as well. So
yeah,
he's still getting used to it. He's still going to make mistakes, and that's probably where the inconsistencies coming from. To be honest, if there was a point where I thought Man United were actually going to be the one that catch Arsenal and not Man City, and I know it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but they were on really good form, and they've obviously dropped a lot. But I think they get top 4.
Yep, I agree.
I'm going to challenge this theory of Man U being inconsistent. I don't know why that's being said. They've lost 2 games in 20. And that was a 7-0 anomaly, should we call it, against Liverpool?
Yeah, that's fair.
And they lost 2-0 to Newcastle. Other than that, 20 games, they've lost 2. And I think before that, they'd gone like 32 games, losing 1. So if you actually look at Man United, they've been very consistent, but I just don't think they've got the quality of Man City. Well, I don't think. They've not got Man City's quality and depth. And for them losing Eriksen and then losing Casemiro for 3 or 4 games, having both of those out was a huge miss. But I think they'll get top 4. If they do, if Ten Hag's first year is taking a really bad Man U, winning a League Cup, getting top 4, plus they're in the semi-finals of the FA Cup and they're in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, I don't think that's a bad year, is it?
No. I don't think it'd been bad at all. I think if I would put money on them winning the Europa League. I think, imagine, just think about that though. Like managers come in. I don't think anyone here would have said that Man United were going to win the league this season.
No,
I don't think anyone at the start of the season said that. But I tell you what, if they'd won 2 trophies at the end of the season, that's not bad for a first year in charge. And for me, I honestly think Man United next season will be in a title race. I think they will be there or thereabouts. May not win it. They might be, but I genuinely think they'll be tight closer to the likes of Man City. We don't know. Will it happen again with Arsenal next season? Will they roll on to it? I don't know. But I think what Ten Hag's doing at Man United is incredible. Someone I wanted at Spurs before when we got rid of Joe, when left with Joe, got rid of Jose. I said Ten Hag was the one. I don't think he wanted to. I think he turned us down, but it kind of looks imperative now with him in charge at Man United.
I think it's difficult. They're in so many tournaments as well. I think people forget that.
Yep.
You know, this is a squad that last year looked dreadful, and you know, I remember doing many shows in the summer, Perchy, where. And this is what makes me laugh with football fans, right? In general, it's all of us. We're all very knee-jerk by nature as football fans, right? And we're all very here and now. But in the summer, it was like no one was talking about Newcastle and Man United for finishing top 4. Everyone was saying, "Oh, it's a year too early." You know, Ten Hag needs time. No one was talking about Arsenal in a title race. But now I hear things like, "Well, if Arsenal don't win the league, they've had a bad year." Hang on.
Yeah.
Like what? So, you know, it's the same thing with Man United now. Like if Man United finish 3rd or 4th, plus win the League Cup, plus they could win the Europa League, I think City will win the FA Cup, but they should get to an FA Cup final at least. I think that's been a great year. And it's that word context for me, chaps. It's context on everything. I think he's had a good year. I think sometimes I watch Man U and they look good. Other times I watch them and they look void of ideas. And I think that will happen with the number of games they've got and the manager's first year. I expect to see a better Man United next year when he's gone and got, let's be fair, they're not going to go into next year without Weghorst up front, are they? So if they get a Vlahovic, an Osimhen, a Kane, you know, I worry. I do.
Agree. No, I think you bang on. And just to sort of obviously, we'll talk about Everton for a second. Doing exactly what I said a few weeks ago with was not lose at home, and anything away from home is a bonus. It seems to be classic Dyche football. I mean, they should have beaten Spurs last week. I think we were in the week, so it was in the week. No, Monday night. Yeah, so Monday night should have beaten Spurs, and they got a point. And again, that I thought they thoroughly deserved to beat us. But yeah, away from home they lose. They'll go and play at home and get a result. So it's very classic. Sean Dyche, and to save Everton. Do we think Everton are going to get relegated?
Well, this is not directly answering the question, but I think, my opinion, I think Southampton should get relegated because they've been a club that just try and survive, and they should be a proper Premier League club. I mean, growing up, they've been up there, you know, not up there, but as in like mid-table, just safe easily all the time. But recently, last 4 years, they've just been somehow hanging in there. They haven't played good football. They haven't made great signings. So if you look at Everton, I see it as a Premier League club. I want them to stay up, to be honest. And this is exactly how I felt when Newcastle were going down. That's a big club. You want the big clubs to stay in the Premier Leagues. You want clubs to stay in where they want to stay in the Premier League, not just, you know, somehow try and survive. There's a bit of a difference. I don't think Southampton play, and I see Burnley go down. Was it last year or a few years ago? Again, they don't play football to try and survive. They don't play to try and get higher in they're never going to win it. They might win an FA Cup or a League Cup, but they don't try and get mid-table. They just try and somehow hang in there. And I get it. It's different being a smaller club, but you see a club like Brentford, they've done it the best way.
So okay, that's a good. We'll talk about Southampton, Man City. Then we'll move quickly on to them then, and go. Well, do I think Southampton will go down now? I think they're probably the only team out of the team in that sort of conversation that will go down now. It's a weird one though, because I look at Southampton and go, got good players. Southampton have got good players. You look at the likes of James Ward-Prowse. It's a weird one because it just hasn't worked. I think they got it wrong with the manager thing. Nathan Jones just didn't fit, did it? And it kind of ruined them. But I kind of look, it's a weird, as I said, it's a weird one. They've got all right players. I didn't understand them selling Danny Ings. That didn't make it.
I think if you look at Southampton, I think, look, like you just said, I think for years they've kind of been hanging on and teetering on the edge of going down. They've got some good young players. They've got some, you know, technically some very good footballers at the club. They've got a lot of good young players from Man City. I'm a firm believer in this. If you do not have a guy that scores you 15 goals minimum a season, you are going to struggle to stay in the Premier League. Now, I'm not saying every team, because 3 teams have to go down, right? And everyone else stays up. But when you look at Southampton through the years, where are their goals coming from? You know, from the days where they had James Beattie up front, Kevin Davis up front, the days when they had Ricky Lambert up front. You know, now you look at them and I go, Armstrong, Che Adams, these people will get you 5, 6, 7. But to stay up, you're going to need to somehow score 45, 50 goals in a season, right? Where are the goals coming from? So they play some nice stuff. Look when they played us the other week, Perchie. Played some lovely stuff. Looked really good going forward. But the difference between them and clubs at the top is putting the biscuit in the basket. And that will always be the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say this to you, Perchie. Take Kane, Son and Kulusevski as a front three and put them into most of those teams in the bottom half, right? Yeah. Those teams are now not bottom half, are they? Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like if you've got goal scorers, you've got... And I look at the bottom. Who's bottom? Southampton. I don't know. Hang on.
Southampton are bottom of the league at the moment.
Right. So if we look at Southampton have scored 24 goals in 30 games. Right, it's just not enough goals. Then you look at Nottingham Forest, who are in there as well, 24 goals. Everton, 23 goals. You know, the anomaly is Leicester, who are bottom 3 with 40 goals. But again, is it any coincidence that the season Vardy's finally kind of got old and dropped off and not playing week in, week out? Now we're seeing Leicester in the bottom 3. You've got to have goal scorers, man. You've got to have them. And I don't think Southampton have got that.
Yeah, no, and just to sort of go on your point, and you don't even have to say Son and Kulusevski. If you just put Harry Kane in any team in that relegation fight, they're not
Yeah.
in a relegation fight, are they?
No.
They're- So you literally one player, and you're spot on. There's not many goal scorers now that you go, they're guaranteed 20 goals this season. There's not many. The only ones really you could argue Kane and Haaland. Is anyone else? I think they're the only two you can guarantee you 20 goals a season in the league.
I think Ivan Toney will probably hit it this year.
Tony's not a bad shout. But my point being is he consistently going to get you 20 goals?
No.
That's the thing, isn't it?
That's the thing, and that's why when we talk about consistency, Perchy, players like Kane's going to get you 20 plus goals every year. And someone's going to, the first thing someone's going to say to me, is, oh, he didn't last year. But if you actually look at Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane in his career has consistently hit 20 goals when he's played 30 games plus. The only times when he's not hit 20 goals is the season when he had the 2 injuries where he played 28 games in both seasons. And in those 2 seasons, he got 18 goals in 28 games. So consistency is absolutely everything. You've got to have goal scorers. Same with Everton. People got on this Dominic Calvert. I don't know what you guys think, but people got on this kind of hype about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That guy's never going to get 50. He's not a 15, 20 goal at the season man every season, is he?
Exactly.
I actually like him. I'm not saying he's not a top striker, but he's enough for a team like Everton. He easily keeps them up. I think he's a good target man and so on, but I don't think Everton have that. And I don't
think they play to his strengths, and his injury problems are part of the problem here because if he gets injured, you've then got to have a like for like swap with someone like him. And the one manager that did get the best out of him is Ancelotti. Tell you what, Ancelotti made him into one. He put Calvert-Lewin into an England's team basically.
Yeah. Well, he got him scoring 1 every 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at it now. He got 16 and 33 under Ancelotti. And then in the season since then, it's difficult to judge because he's always injured, but he got 5 last year in 17. Not the end of the world, but this year he's got 1 in 11. Look, guys, if they go down and Calvert-Lewin's still at Everton, how many does Calvert-Lewin get in the Championship if he stays fit? 20?
Yeah,
if he
probably.
Stays, I don't think. Would you reckon he'll stay with them?
I don't know who would take him. Like I think he's
a weird one, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know who would take him. Maybe a team coming up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
a Burnley, I don't know. Would they?
That's exactly my point with Southampton. Is when Everton get relegated. Say for example, they lose. They're obviously going to lose a bunch of players. They'll probably lose maybe Decore, maybe that Calvert. We can go on, but the players that the teams that these players go to. Makes a difference, and Southampton has never been in the last 6 years someone that tries to get these players, stay higher, get higher up instead of you're going to be in a relegation battle again, and they just accept it.
But using Southampton, if Southampton did go down, how many of their players would leave in the Championship? I'd probably say
it's all a Championship team, isn't it? I think. Anyway.
But what in fairness, what Southampton are doing. Is they went in and they brought in a director of football that was at Man City, and he was their academy scout or whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, and that's why they got a load of youngsters from Man City's academy. You look at the likes of Romeo Lavia, the lad that scored against Man City, Mara. He came through their Man City's academy.
Yeah,
a lot of those players will play in the Championship. Maybe someone like a Lavia might go because people looked at him when he's all right. But a lot of those will probably say, you'd argue probably Ward-Prowse might leave.
I think that's the one, isn't it? I think Ward-Prowse is the one that I think a lot of clubs, I mean, I'd take him all day long. Someone who can score you 10, 15 free kicks a season. He's got a good pass on him. He's got a good engine, knows the Premier League. He's English, which is great for the homegrown quota. I think he's definitely the one, but I tell you the player I think is Bola Ketchup.
Bola Ketchup.
Whatever his name is. He's going to be, him and Salisu are going to be very good players. You've got Livramento. But
Walker
it'll be
Peters.
interesting. Walker Peters, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what would happen because I'm guessing clubs coming up would look at that and go, "Oh, we'll take Salisu, we'll take, we'll take Walker Peters." But I agree though. I do think most of them would probably stay in the Championship with Southampton, and Che Adams will probably get you 20 next season in the Championship.
Yep, exactly.
That's the difference, isn't it? Him and Armstrong will probably score goals for fun in the Championship.
No, absolutely bang on. I was just going to have a little check. Who's the other team down there? The other team down there is
Leicester
City. Where's Wayne Holland when you need him? He's gone. Where's Wayne Holland? Leicester City. What is going on there? It looks like Jesse March is not going there. That is broken down this morning from what I read. Wow. Somehow that won't. So they're now looking at an interim manager to the end of the season. What is going on at Leicester City? Because the thing is, I look at Leicester and I go, some good players there.
Yeah,
but
they've got some very good players. They should be nowhere near it.
But what they've done is they're missing. I think they're missing a spine now. They've got some really nice technical players, and I look at some of them and I go, what's happened to some of like Vardy? They haven't replaced his output. They've not replaced Vardy's output. Iheanacho, he's hit and miss. He's probably he's a 1 in 3 kind of guy. Probably, I think that's fair. And then you just start looking around and you go, they lost certain players. I think Harvey Barnes is a really good player, but he's not.
When you look at them, when you look at the likes of Tielemans, Maddison, Ndidi, Harvey Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Fayez, Castagna, there's enough that they should be nowhere near the bottom 3. But I think the warning signs were there, and I was about to say this. Thank you, proud to be a Geordie. Big up, my man. The warning sign was there the moment. Like, do you remember last summer where it was sort of like Schmeichel it went like that? It literally happened like that.
Went to Nice, yeah.
Bless me. I'm so sorry.
He's actually just, he's gone for his hand. I think what he's going to say is that when he got, I'm assuming what Sav's going to say, I'll fill it onto him. I think he's just having sneezing fits. Oh, welcome back, mate.
Sorry, yeah.
Welcome back.
The antihistamines are not doing their thing this year.
Oh.
It just felt like he was there. Then he went for like £1 million, and you're like,
nothing, weren't it?
What? Like, I would have taken Schmeichel.
Yeah.
Solid Premier League goalkeeper, Premier League winning goalkeeper, FA Cup winning goalkeeper, solid. He's gone. Straight away, you're thinking, right, you've got to get a keeper in. Surely you've scouted something. And it was, what's his name? Lee Ward, is it?
But they didn't bring any, they haven't brought anyone in. They have Danny Ward in goal now.
Danny Ward, that's what I mean.
Danny Ward was their number 2. Well, and now they've got the number 3 in it. Well, now he's the number 2, who's some young lad, Everson now, because Ward's injured. So it's like, you're right. And when I was shocked when I saw that he didn't, they didn't go and because you thought if Schmeichel's going at a click of a finger, someone's walking in the door tomorrow. Like normally when that happens, when something suddenly happens like that, it means that someone's coming in. They didn't. You kind of went, that's a big red flag for me. Something's not working out there. And when they lost, when they lost Fofana to Chelsea, they went and brought in Wout Face. Was it Wout Face? It was the one that he replaced Fofana with.
Yeah, I don't mind him, by the way. I don't mind him, but the problem I think you've got is when you bring in players like that, they need to be playing with someone that is rock solid, knows the league, and you can build a partnership upon.
Yeah.
And I've not seen that this year. To lose Fofana, essentially they've lost Vardy because he's not the same. Like, he's not starting games. So in 1 year, they've lost Schmeichel, Fofana, Vardy's not the same. Ndidi seems to always be injured. Maddison's injured quite a bit. Tielemans looked like he's going. Maybe, just maybe, and Wayne Holland might hate me for saying this, maybe a little trip down to the Championship to rebuild isn't the worst thing. I don't know.
No, I think you're. It just feels to me at the moment they can't buy a win, and the problem is at the moment in this division, the way it is a win down the bottom is like gold dust at the moment, because if you can get a win, it takes you up 3 or 4 places down the bottom. You win.
Yeah.
Look at, as I said, we talk about Crystal Palace, and we'll talk about those in a moment, but you look at what they've done. They brought in Roy Hodgson, everyone's sort of went, and they've only got 2 wins back to back. All of a sudden, they've gone from being 4 or 5 points from the bottom to I think it's now 7 points from the bottom, and just like that, you're a click of a finger, and you've done it.
But that's why if you get rid of Rodgers, if you sack Rodgers, I'm using him as an example. If you sack your manager and you are down at the bottom of the table and there's still plenty of points to fight for, surely the only reason you're doing that is you want a new manager bounce. Right?
Agreed.
Now, I'm going to contradict myself completely here. So, one, you want the new manager bounce. If you actually look at all the clubs in the bottom there, other than Crystal Palace, none of them have had a new manager bounce. You look at if we look at the league table, right? If I look at the league table now, in the bottom half, Southampton have sacked their manager. Yeah, rock bottom. Leicester have sacked their manager. Right? Have Everton changed their manager?
Well, yeah, they brought in Sean Dyche.
Right, okay. Everton have changed their manager. Leeds have changed their manager.
Yep.
Bournemouth have changed their manager. Right? Wolves have changed their manager. So the only 2 teams in that bottom 8, all going all the way up to Crystal Palace on 33 points, the only 2 teams that haven't changed their manager are West Ham and
Forest.
Everyone else has changed their manager. None of them, other than Palace, appear to have had any form of bounce. So, is the grass always greener?
No. Well, when did they get rid of? Oh yeah, no, they got Bruno Lage at the beginning, but thing is though, Wolves seem to be okay. I don't think Wolves will go down. We use those as the sort of staple point, because you look at Wolves, they've got in Lopetegui, good manager. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of, in my opinion, saw an opening with a manager that I think was better than Bruno Lage. Brought him in. Yeah. But I look at some of the other appointments, and I sort of go, Southampton have replaced their manager. Well, they've done it twice. Was it twice this season? I
think. Yeah.
They sacked Hasenhüttl, brought in Nathan Jones. Yeah. Now they've got that Sellés bloke in charge until the end of the season. Hasn't worked for them at all. Then you looked at Everton. Okay, I think Everton will be fine under Sean Dyche, because I think he'll just get enough for them to stay up. Not a bad appointment. Leeds. Who did Leeds appoint? They brought in
isn't it the guy that was is it Javi Garcia?
Javi Garcia,
Isn't it Javi Garcia? Yeah.
Javi Gracia.
Weird.
Javi Gracia. Doesn't really make sense there as an appointment. Bournemouth gave it to Gary O'Neill to the end of the season.
Didn't make sense.
Guess, okay. West Ham haven't sacked Moyes, but I don't think they will sack him. I think West Ham actually have done the right thing in not sacking him. I genuinely think keep him more. If they got rid of him at the end of the season, I'd understand it and go, do you know what? Hasn't worked this season. But they
could still win a European trophy.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
Well, they could still get relegated as well.
That would be hilarious, by the way. If they won the European trophy and were playing in the Europa League while in the Championship next season, part of me wants that, just because I've got so many West Ham mates that all year last year we were massive. Oh God, go away. But I don't think they'll go down. I don't know about you guys. No. I think they've got too much.
Yeah, agreed. I think you're right. And then we sort of went up to, as I said to you about Wolves. They replaced Bruno Lage with Lopetegui, which I looked and went, makes sense. And then Palace obviously replaced Vieira with Hodgson. That has got a lot of people with a bit of mud on their face. A lot of people are in the mud, and it's not normally me and you, Sav, that's normally in the mud about that one.
Well, let's see. It's what he's managed 2 games, right?
2 games, 2 wins.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not knocking it at all. I'm not knocking it, but look, there's still a fight going on down there, and the fact that there's 8-9 games to go for a lot of these clubs, they're all going to have to play each other, I'm guessing, at some point. Other than Southampton, I don't know who's going to go down. I really don't. I think they're all as bad as each other. I think it's an awful league this year, if I'm honest. I think it's a horrific league. But we'll see.
So 10 points separate 12th and 20th. So that 3 wins, isn't it? For Palace's sake, for example, or 12, they can win at least 2 more. I think they're safe.
Yeah.
But then you could argue that you don't go down from bottom, you go down from what, 18th, and it's only 6 points. So it's as I said to you, 2 wins changes you from being in a relegation zone to being 12th in the league. That's how mad it is this season. Down the bottom. I think we talked a lot about the relegation lot, guys. Let's move on to the top 4 conversation and sort of Spurs. Let's go on and talk about Spurs for a bit. Why not? Because it's always fun talking about Tottenham. Tottenham, Brighton. Somehow Spurs beat Brighton 2-1 with some of the most incredible refereeing I've seen in my life. Yeah. I mean, if someone said to you that Spurs had put some money down to sort of coach some refereeing decisions, gosh, that was insane. I mean, what were your thoughts, Travis? I want to get your thoughts on that one for a moment, because how many of the decisions did you think were right, and how many decisions do you think were wrong? That's my question. It
felt like everything they did was wrong, if I'm really honest. Look, I think it's important as a football fan to be able to remove the hat of the team you support. Yeah, if I'm looking at it purely as a football fan, I'm thinking to myself, if all those decisions went against my team, I would be fuming. It was awful refereeing. Look, I can put my Spurs hat back on and say, look, cool, 3 points. By hook or crook, you get the 3 points. But God, it was, again, a tough watch. 2 moments of magic from 2 top players. Good to see Sonny doing what Sonny did best last year. That's what we need to see more of from him. Kane doing what Kane normally does. The actual football of the game. So I watched highlights of it. I was actually out on Saturday. I watched bits of it on my phone while I was out, and then watched it again yesterday. Taped the game, watched the whole thing. The football is just absolutely disgusting. It is non-existent football that, again, is being carried by goals from Harry Kane, and then obviously Sonny at the weekend. And, you know, I don't know how has Spurs got to the stage where we're playing at home and getting 30% possession in the first half. 30% possession in the first half. Now, all these people that will come at me and go, oh, it's not about possession. Sorry, I want to see my team play football, right? I don't want to watch my football club sit 10 men behind the ball and watch the other team pass the ball about. That's not why I watch football. Look, the better team lost. They looked a very good team, are well organised, well drilled. Everyone knew their job. They played in triangles. You could see that clearly, who was the left-hand side of the triangle over here, who was the right-hand side over there. Once they give the ball, they all go and move again and want to receive it again. They're always in space. They know their next pass. They know their jobs. They know how to tuck in together. Very, very good team. And again, put Harry Kane up front for Brighton, they're probably challenging for the title. That's the difference. I don't think Brighton have got goals, like out and out goals like we have. So,
agreed.
Look, it kept us in a top 4 fight. Not that, my feelings, Perchy, I don't really care if we get top 4 or not. I feel like it's a vanity thing for Tottenham at this stage.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch. Hats off to anyone that pays to go and watch that crap, if I'm really honest.
Agreed.
I was going
to say, Haz, I was just going to ask you, mate, what are your thoughts on the way that Tottenham are playing at the moment? Well, it'd be nice to get it from another fan's perspective.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, this is from the outsider point of view, and obviously you guys are way more linked in with your club than I am with Spurs. And obviously I'm support Chelsea, and we're having a nightmare this season. But it feels like Spurs don't know what they're doing. That's what, if you watch a Spurs match, even with Conte there, it felt like, what's going on here? That was always a question. But I was going to say, you mentioned, Sav, that give Harry Kane to Brighton, and they might be doing top 4 or whatever. But what about the other way around? Take Harry Kane away from Tottenham, which is what's probably going to happen. What do you think you're going to?
You've not met a more realistic fan. I get so much hate because I will say the truth about this club. Take Harry Kane out of this Tottenham team. Yeah, we are a very, very bad... Listen, we're a bad football team with Harry Kane. We've just got Harry Kane's goals.
Yeah.
Now we're a bad football team that don't have a 20, 25 goal a season, man. So I liken it to this. If Harry Kane hadn't played a single game this season, for me, Tottenham Hotspur would be probably where Crystal Palace are. If I'm really honest, I look at the 11. I look at the 11 that lines up, and I go, "This is a really bad 11. This is not a good 11." And then you go, "Oh well, Kane's playing, so we're all right." Other than that, we don't know what we're doing. Honestly, we don't. There's no plan. You watch every game. Every game we start off, and it's maybe we're gonna play with a bit more urgency and desire this week. Nope. Sit back, tuck in. The midfielders don't know how to pass the ball from A to B. The managers never try anything other than three at the back, which is just mind-numbingly boring. Even I think the biggest thing, Perchy, I think you'll agree with me on this, but you might do, you might not. The biggest telltale sign for me was we're at Everton, who started the game without a single striker on the pitch, right? They had a front three, if you want to call it that, of McNeil, Gray, and Iwobi. Not one of them is a centre forward, right? So we play 3 centre halves as standard. Then Everton go down to 10 men, and you're thinking, right, take off a centre half, right? Take off a centre half, put another bloke in midfield, and let's dominate this game now and go and ping in 2 or 3 goals, and let's see the back of Everton here. Nope. Our first substitution was a centre-back off and a centre-back on against 10 men Everton with no striker. And that
with one less midfielder.
That told me everything I needed to know, if I didn't already know, about the Conte-Stellini approach to football, that it's not about playing football. It's about just being tight, compact, and hoping that you can nick a goal with the likes of Kane and Son. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, it did.
Spurs are a shambles masquerading as a top 4 club.
I can't argue. Absolutely spot on. I think the way that we play is, as I say it and I'll say it again, and we play the worst football in the league. That every team plays better football than us, and it's people think, oh, you're overreacting. Look at if you watch every single game this weekend, Spurs played the worst football in the league, and by a country mile. And it was only for a bit of magic from Heung-min Son and Harry Kane doing what he does best was the only reason we won that game of football against Brighton. I thought the refereeing decisions were atrocious. I thought the first one, it's quite brilliant because everyone told me Mitoma's was handball. But the same people that argued that said Sissoko's wasn't in that cup final. I didn't think it was handball in that cup final. I thought it was a poor decision. I thought it came off his chest first. And I said, but you can't have both things. If you looked at both examples, for me, if you're going to stay crystal clear on it, both were exactly the same. I thought it hit him just here on that part of the shoulder, on his chest sort of thing. I thought it was harsh. But I'll go, do you know what? Benefit of the doubt, I'll go, okay, maybe. I can understand why it's not given. Well, the next one, McAllister's gets ruled out because it hits his arm and ricochets in. Okay, I can argue that was a correct decision. But is it clear and obvious? For me, no. But okay, each to their own. For me, I thought it came off his hip, but it is what it is. There's no debate about the Højbjerg one. No. I don't think anyone can debate that. He snaps on his foot. And then people argue me the fourth one that no one talks about because the Højbjerg one's terrible was Longley wrapping his arms around the defender and pulls him down for a... And some people are telling me it happens all the time. But what? A player pulls a shirt with both hands? Player? No, it's a penalty. You take your Spurs hat off, that's a Stonewall penalty. Both of them are.
Shocking.
And the referee, and I think the argument has to be made here that the refereeing in this country is absolutely horrendous. And I don't think anyone can debate that anymore. And what I don't like is fans go, well, it happened against us, so we should be able to celebrate when it happens for us. I wouldn't know because it doesn't work like that. Because then because I said if it happens against us against Bournemouth on the next weekend, and we have shocking refereeing decisions, which goals get disallowed, this, that, and the other, shouldn't be sitting there complaining and crying about it, because you're not complaining about it when it happens for you. And I say this to football fans, not just Spurs fans, football fans. When it goes against their club, everyone's furious. When it happens for them, they celebrate it. So you can't do that, because it makes you look like an idiot. And for me, that's part of a big problem at the moment with football in itself.
So I got a question for you guys, and this is sort of pushing it towards like the theme of my podcast that I'm starting up. So my unpopular theory at the moment about football is that the Premier League is an overrated league. And don't get me wrong, I love watching Premier League, yeah. But if you see it as an overall league, we've talked about all these clubs that this year, for example, that are just hanging on and shouldn't be in the Premier League. They're trying to just somehow survive. We obviously got the top four, and like the Arsenal-Liverpool game yesterday, yeah, great game, good advert for the Premier League. But as an overall league, the refereeing is shocking. The ticket prices for fans is crazy.
Yep.
If you look at the atmosphere, all right, you get the odd atmospheres, like you go to Newcastle away or something like that, you get some really good atmosphere. But if you look at Germany, or so, for example, their ticket prices are, I'm not saying a Bundesliga is great. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, for example, the prices they have to pay compared to the atmosphere they give is crazy compared to the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So the referee is shocking. The football isn't always as great this year, well, last few years. And then you've got the stadiums, the fans, everything. I think it's become so overrated. And do you think that's because all the money that's coming in? And
listen, I don't think that's sorry, it is an unpopular opinion, but I don't think it's a wrong opinion. I make you bang on the money. I'm looking at the league table now, right? And look, let me take this back a step. The Premier League is told to us that it's the best league in the world by Sky Sports week in, week out. Yeah. You don't get games like this in any other league. You hear all the time. Yes, you do. Watch the other leagues. You do get those games. You know, like there's a last minute equaliser in a game that's 3-3. And they'll go, oh, this only happens in the Premier League. No, it doesn't. That happens in every league. Watch Spanish football, watch Italian football, watch German football. It happens in every league. Then you get the argument of the quality in the Premier League. Really? Let's break this down, shall we? I'm going to rant a bit here.
Oh, I love a rant.
Right? Let's break this down about the quality in the Premier League. You've got an Arsenal team that were 5th and absolutely miles off it last year. Miles off winning a league last year, have added 2 players in Zinchenko and Jesus, and all of a sudden now are fighting for a title, right? You've got Newcastle, who are sitting in 3rd. Now, I think they've done brilliantly. I've just done a video about Eddie Howe. But how can you have a team in 3rd that have Fabian Schär, Willock, Longstaff, Almiron, St. Maximin, right? So if we're now saying, where's the quality of this league gone? Yeah, our teams aren't that good in Europe anymore as they used to be. English teams really struggle to win European trophies at the moment. As you said, the standard of the refereeing, when I watch the referees here compared to when I watch the other leagues, the refereeing is shambolic. Our use of VAR compared to other leagues seems to take twice the amount of time it takes the other leagues to make decisions. But to wrap this all up, for me, I think the Premier League is the most exciting league because it's marketed better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the money is, right? But I guarantee if you go and watch the Bundesliga this weekend, you're going to see 4-3s. You're going to see drama. You're going to see penalties that should have been given, right? And equally, like our league, where we say that our leagues are everyone's competitive in the Premier League. No, they're not. Man City and Arsenal are miles ahead of everyone else. Where's the competition? Where's the competitiveness? What? Because 10 teams could get relegated. That doesn't make it a strong league. That tells me that there's no quality anywhere in the league.
Agreed.
Right? Mm. So I don't think it's an unpopular opinion. Sorry for the long rant, but
no,
I'm so bored of hearing all the time from commentators and pundits that this doesn't happen anywhere else. Yes, it does. What? Do you think in the Spanish league that people just roll over and let Barcelona win? No.
Well, Real Madrid lost to Villarreal the other day, didn't they?
3-2.
If I'm right in saying.
Right. It happens. You get shocks in every league. PSG seems to be losing every other week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bayern Munich, they've only just gone top again. You had Union Berlin, who were brilliant at the top there. Dortmund
Dortmund.
and Union Berlin have been swapping. Now Bayern have gone top again. But our league's the best because it's competitive and no other league is any good. Look at the Italian league, right? Sorry, I'm ranting.
Yeah.
Sorry. Look at the Italian league, right? If you watch Serie A, forget Napoli, they've won the league by a mile, right? There's then 5 points that separate second and sixth. 5 points.
Yeah.
Sorry, 7 points to separate second and sixth. So you've got 5 teams there all vying for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. But apparently it's just our league. So I do get really, really frustrated. I think ours is the most helter-skelter league. It's fast, it's furious. But does that mean it's the best football? Not for me.
Yeah, don't get me
Sorry.
wrong.
Yeah.
It used to be. I used to think, no way, the Premier League is the best league. But I think it's dropped so much. And I think the amount of money, like you said, the marketing that goes with it. But I was in Madrid last month and I was watching Atletico versus Sevilla. That was 6-1. There was a red card, obviously 7 goals, a missed penalty. I'm thinking, you don't hear about this stuff. You obviously can see it. You can watch it in England, but you don't see. And then Real Madrid just lost 3-2 to Villarreal, I think it was yesterday. And you think you see the highlights and the odd person mentions it, but it's not marketed in that way, is it? So you've never hit the nail on the head in terms of how it's marketed.
It's marketing. Agreed. I do agree. So yeah, carry on, mate.
No, I was going to say it's not the actual league anymore, and yeah, every league gets great games. Yeah, that always happens. But at the moment, I think the refereeing, and if you look at fans' atmosphere, the stadium atmosphere, and things like that, I think we need to catch up a little. Even the small things. I don't know if you guys watch much La Liga, but you've got all these like high-tech 4K cameras running around with close-ups of players. You don't see stuff like that in the Premier League. I'm not saying the camera's bad. But little things, little features like that, you see heat maps on the pitch, you see all this stuff. I feel like we've got a bit of catching up to do in all sorts of areas.
Let me ask you a question then. When people say the Premier League is the best, the word "best" is very subjective. What are we best at? And if we are the best, why is it that not one of the European trophies last year was won by an English club? If we're so dominant and all our teams are so great, why didn't an English team win the Champions League, the Conference League, or the Europa League?
No, I think the reason why it's considered the best is because we make the most money. We've marketed it to get the best price and sold it across the world. That's the reason. And it's considered the best in the world because it is realistically the Super League. That's why people think it is.
Yeah, I agree.
The amount of money is sickening in the Premier League. It is sickening the amount of money that's in the Premier League. When the likes of Nottingham Forest can go in and get Keylor Navas on loan, tells me absolutely everything about the Premier League right now. Because a goalkeeper that at one point was number 1 at Real Madrid, number 1 at PSG before they signed Donnarumma, has managed to go to Nottingham Forest. And no disrespect to Nottingham Forest fans if there is any in the chat. But how have you managed to go in? There's only one reason how you've managed to go in and sign a Keylor Navas, because you've got more money than everyone else. Do you see what I mean? And
I agree. Can I just ask? There's someone in your chat, Neil Gunner. I just want to address him if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So Neil Gunner said, "Oh, what about the last year's before last year? Nice picking out 1 year. It's the money. It's not picking out 1 year. For example, if I look at the Champions League, in the last decade in the Champions League, English teams have won it twice. So if we're so dominant and our teams are the best in the world, why have we only won it twice? And I could take that back further. Here you go. If I go back to, I've got to cap it somewhere, right? If I go back to 2000, right? If I go back to 2000, 23 years. So I'm going to go back and say 1, 2, 3, 5. So 5 of the last 24 years have been English teams. But yet every other league is crap. And in that time, you've had Real Madrid win it, Bayern Munich win it, Barcelona have won it, Inter Milan have won it, AC Milan have won it, Porto have won it, Bayern Munich have won it. Do you know what I mean? But I get so fed up with it's just English clubs are the best, everyone else is rubbish. Well, we should dominate.
And arguably, you could argue the biggest point is the best team in the country, pound for pound, have never won the Champions League. Man City, pound for pound, player for player, are the best team in the country by a mile. Yet they've got to one Champions League final. So do you see? And that's the point for it, really.
What Neil Gunnar might be saying is because we've had a few finals. So we've had Chelsea, Man City, we've had Liverpool, Tottenham, we've had a couple more, I think. But what I think Sav was trying to say is look at Real Madrid. Look at Spain, right? Real Madrid won it maybe 3 times in a row. Them years,
4 or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then Sevilla were winning the Europa Leagues, weren't they? 3 in a row as well. I think 2 or 3 in a row. There's no dominance like that anymore. Yeah, the odd English final will happen in Europe, but reality is Spain and a couple of times Germany, here and there Italy, but it looks like it's mostly Spain. If you go on the metrics of how many times European Cups have won, it's just all Spain, isn't it? There's no dominance from the Premier League anymore. And I used to love, I still love watching the Premier League, but I used to truly believe that we were the best league in the world, but I don't think we are anymore, and it's gone undercover a little bit that we're not.
Well, even if you look at the Europa League, right? The Europa League since it was formed, the Europa League, I'm just taking this all the way back to, right, if I go back to 2000, English teams again have won the Europa League 4 times, right? 4 out of 24 times, English teams, right? Then if I go back even further, if I go back to 99, 90, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85. You have to go back to 84 to find another English winner, which was Tottenham Hotspur. Right? So, but this is what makes me laugh. When we say it's the best league, for what? I watched if we look at yesterday, 2 of the English two of England's powerhouse clubs, right? Liverpool and Arsenal. Yeah, it was a great game for the neutral, but again, look how many mistakes. Look how wide open everyone was. No one could defend. There was no shape. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no... It wasn't like either team had a solid, cohesive shape and unit and controlled the game. It was just end-to-end, helter-skelter, we attack, you attack, right? You watch other leagues. That's not the case. So it depends. If we want to say that is best, then sure, that's best. But like, if you watch Spanish games, like I watch a lot of La Liga. I watch a lot of the teams that play against Barcelona and Real Madrid and that, and they look organised. They try and pick them off. You know, they've set out tactically really well. They're all very comfortable with the ball at their feet, which is something you don't get a lot in England. And the biggest thing I'll say is this, right? The biggest thing I'll say is this. We keep hearing about will players settle in the Premier League? Can they do it in the Premier League? How much of a percentage do you think this league is foreign? The Premier League.
What players?
Above 50, no?
I reckon you're looking at nearly 75, 80, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You think about this. Look at it's true. Because, no, you're right. I think you are probably bang on there. No, absolutely spot on. I think we've got an okay league. I think it's a good league. I'm not going to sit there and say it's terrible, but I think we've bought into the marketing of the Premier League. The Premier League marketed itself so well. I think that's the key part, and I think marketing is such a key one. We've sold it as the best league in the world across the world, and that's why everyone wants to watch the Premier League. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen elsewhere. I wanted to just sort of go off topic a little bit. There was a starter comment, for example, by a guy called Louis, who messaged saying, "Quick heads up, saying Eddie Howe is a good coach, is fair, but he has Botman and we have Dyer." And I'm going to use a lovely saying that me and Sav talk about this every single time. At the start of the season, when we were linked with Sven Botman, everyone said, "Stay clear of him." But because Eddie Howe has coached him and he's looked an incredible centre-half this season, now everyone wants him.
Perchy, this is a big up to Louis, right? This is selective.
Yep.
This is selective, right? Why hasn't this guy said, "Oh, they've got Botman, we've got Romero"? Why has he gone for their best centre-half and our worst? Right?
Yep.
Why? Why have you done that? Because what I could say is Eddie Howe picked up Fabian Schär, who everyone talked about as one of the worst centre-halves in the league. And now Fabian Schär plays in a two-man centre-back pairing, which is the best defence in the league. So there you go. You know, it's not like, you know, Antonio Conte had World Cup winning Christian Romero, right?
Yep.
Who I bet you if you ask most Spurs fans, they go, who's better, Romero or Botman? You watch how many go, Romero. Oh, okay, so Romero's better than Botman, right? But Eddie Howe has managed to get Newcastle to be the best defence in the league with Schär and Botman as a back two and Dan Burn as a left back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of excuses for what's happened with Conte this year, but for me, he's not managed to upskill any footballer at Tottenham Hotspur, in my opinion.
Yep.
Sorry.
I just want Neil's come back with, because in our league the competitiveness is better than you think you can rotate like the Spanish league in Germany. But look what's going on in other leagues and stuff. And then look at Germany right now. I don't think the German league is incredible, but you look at it right now, they've got what is at least, because when I last looked at it, there was 4 teams that could win the league. I mean, I'm not sure if that's what it is now.
There's a 2-point gap from Munich to Dortmund and then a 4-point gap from Dortmund to Union Berlin. But can I ask, the competitiveness of who?
Yeah.
Where's the competitiveness, Neil? We've got 10 teams that could get relegated.
Yeah.
It's because I think in the past, and this feels like a long time ago, which is why I brought it up. In the past, if you look at Italy, it's always Juve or sometimes Inter and AC, but generally, especially the past few years, always been Juve. And then Germany's always been Bundesliga. So Bayern Munich has always won it however many times in a row. France has always been PSG. Now, last year Milan won it, I think, the Serie A. This year Napoli are going to win it. Bundesliga, like you said, Bayern Munich have only just come back to the top. They've sacked their manager. They've only just come back to the top. France, PSG losing left, right, and centre. So in the past, it hasn't been competitive, and our league looks better because there's all sorts of clubs winning the league every year for us. But
is that true? I want to challenge that. Is that true?
Not anymore.
I reckon if you looked at the last 20 years as to how many teams have won the Premier League versus won the La Liga versus won Italian leagues, I reckon it's all very, very similar. I reckon it's going to be 4 to 5 teams that have won all those leagues in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because when people say competitive, Man City have dominated this league for 5 years. Dominated it. So if we're competitive when one team... If Man City win it again this year, right? If Man City win it again this year, and I think they will, and I've said that from day one, right? That means they've dominated, that they've won 5 of 6. How's that competitive?
No, I don't.
That's a domination, right? But if it happens in another league, people like Neil go, oh my God, those teams they play are easy. I reckon Neil probably doesn't watch any of those leagues and couldn't tell you anything about any of those clubs. Because I watch Lazio play. Very good team with some very good players. Right? Right, let's have a look. Fuck it. Sorry, because what I hate is when things are passed as fact when they're not. Right. So if I look at the Italian league winners, right? Italian league winners list. So if we look at Serie A history, here we go. Right. So in Italy, in the last 3 years, hang on, what year are we in? In the last 3 years in Italy, 3 different teams have won the league. Isn't that competitive?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So Milan, Juve, and Inter have all won the league. Now, I'm going to put my hat on. Listen, I'm going to take a big leap of faith here and chuck Napoli in there as winning it this year with their 16-point gap at the top. Right? That is 4 years in a row in Italy, 4 different winners of the league. Right? But when that happens, but England is no different to Germany. Bayern Munich win it nearly every year. So do Man City in England.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that fair?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't understand. We cherry pick. We cherry pick what we want. This is the problem. So and if you could bring up for me the points gap with other leagues that proud to be a Jordan.
So I was gonna just sort of say, because I watch a bit of La Liga and stuff, and I watch Espanyol a bit in Spain. I just want to use Spain as a great example because we talk about and say because it's not competitive, but for me, if it's competitive, the majority would all be points. The majority of the table would be there or thereabouts. If it's so competitive in Spain, 10 points. Well, I mean, if you minus Elche at bottom of the league with 13 points, they're relegated, done. If you take 19th place Espanyol, and I hate to say it, that they're down there and with 27 points, 10 points separate 19th and 9th. 10 points. It's mad. So anyone realistically that's not getting European football is in a relegation battle to the end of the season. And I agree with you guys. I think the Premier League is hyped a lot, but it's because we all live in that bubble. I think that's fair.
It's Sky Sports. Every time Sky Sports tell you there's no other league like it. I watch how, like, I remember famously Andy Gray. Andy Gray at the time was talking about Andy Gray and Richard Keys were talking about like Lionel Messi at one point, like, you know, he's a great player, but they said, you know, would he fancy it on a cold night against Stoke? And I just sat there and thought to myself, right there, you made yourself look like an idiot. Would he, you know, these players that aren't capable of coming and doing it against Stoke?
Yeah.
Stoke. No. The man scored 4 goals against Arsenal when they were in their prime, but wouldn't be able to do it against Stoke.
Yeah. I think Paddy's just hit the nail on the head here, by the way. When you see teams like Spurs still win a chance to get Champions League football, tells you the standard of the league in one.
Absolutely.
Bang on the money.
Absolutely
Bang on. The fact that we have a slim chance to finish in Champions League football says how crap this league genuinely is. And I'll be honest, I genuinely mean that. Bang on. Yeah, no, I do agree. I think other leagues, I think people miss how good other leagues are and stuff. And I think we're very prone to sort of the Premier League being the be all and end all, when in my opinion, I think it's an okay league. I don't think it's an incredible league, which is my personal opinion. I think watch PSG, Bayern and Napoli. Yeah, but I think you're missing the point here. PSG is a great one because you look at how good their teams are compared to everyone else in that league. Like they're like Man City on steroids in that league. I think that's probably a fair analysis. But they should be winning.
And they're not dominating.
Game. They should be winning every game. No, I don't think them. I will go back. I don't watch much of the French league. I will put my hands up and say that. Let me find their league. There it is.
They're 6 points above Lens.
Lens. Let's just. By the way, let's just put a bit of context. This team, by the way, I was going to say, who was it they had? I swear they've got an ex-Spurs manager there, an ex-Spurs player there, or something. I might be wrong, but it says it all as well, because I look at it and there's so much about this league that I find. You look at the lad. When they've got a 30-year-old managing in the French league that is not even qualified, and it could be an anomaly, by the way. He could be just an incredible manager, and he's 8th in Ligue 1. And do you know what I mean? And in a league where he got a result against the best team in that league by a country mile.
Look, for me, at the end of the day, we always want to compare everything, which I think sometimes there's no need. I enjoy watching all the leagues, and I think it's really important to watch all the leagues, see all the different players. But it's when people say things like, "Oh, that player, yeah, but could they do it over here?" And I'm thinking, well, who hasn't? Most people come over and do it over here. It's not this special league where suddenly strikers forget how to score goals when they join the Premier League or anything, but. I don't know. Like, I hear about, it's tough. The defences over here are tough. As you said, Spurs could get top 4. We've got people like Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and Ben Davies in our back 5. So, I just think it's very poor right now at the Premier League, if I'm honest. Yeah. Man City are great. Arsenal are having a good year. Man City are the best team by a country mile. But that's why they've dominated the same way Bayern dominate, the same way PSG dominate.
Yeah.
The only league which isn't being dominated by anyone for the last 4 or 5 years is Italy.
No, agreed. Our friend Ant's back. Just wanted to say that look, yeah, Dyer cost us half of our goals. I don't think anyone here on this panel has ever even said that Eric Dyer is a great defender. The question's always been raised on this panel is then why does he play? He's that terrible. Why does he play every week? That's the way I want to leave it. And listen, if you think my ball knowledge is on the ropes, then that's your opinion. But listen, I think
he's trying to go at me, Perchy. I think the fact that anyone that uses the term ball knowledge, I think you can disregard them as a bit of a twit.
Here's one. Here you go. Savra, as owners, if inside of your house is broken, you need to find a solution to fix it. Spurs owners look at them and don't care, fix it. That's the problem. I mean, I'm not sure what that means. But I'll be honest. If you're able to just chuck another comment back in, mate, and explain what you mean by that, I'm not being funny. I'm a bit confused, but it's probably because I'm just a bit of an idiot. That's probably more.
I think he means. I think what he's trying to say is they see the issue, and they don't care enough to fix it.
So, but what? Okay, so
that's what
I didn't want this to be a Levy debate, but let's have a little quick for everyone in there. Let's have a quick fire. I wasn't going to, but we're gonna go there. But I will make it really quick here because I really am bored of the Daniel Levy out conversation for this moment because I like talking football. But just this one moment, we'll let this happen. Let it slide for a minute. I don't think that for them it is a problem. And I think, Sav, you're going to probably defend me on what I say here. I don't think they care. I think we agree that they don't care. So for them, their solution is finishing in the Champions League, and they're 3 points off it. So for them, that's the achievement, regardless of what us fans think.
It's always come down to this, Perchy, for me with the owners. As fans, we talk about what we want, yeah, but ultimately, the club is run by what the owners want. So what we see as failure isn't what they see as failure. So if we scrape top 4 by hook or crook this year, they'll see that as another successful year that's got into the Champions League, Europe's top, we're dining at Europe's top table, and we've made 80 million, is it, or whatever you get for getting in the Champions League? I don't know. They'll see that as, they'll see that as success. We'll all go, oh, but we've not won anything. It's terrible. And that's the problem, is we don't run the club. The owners run the club. The owners have set the bar as to what they see success as. Mm-hmm. That guy Amin is completely right. Yeah, the owners, they see it and don't want to fix it. Is it that they don't want to fix it, or is it that you think that we need a brand new bathroom? They see it that we just need a plumber in to come and fix the toilet. There's a huge difference, right? Sorry, that's a really shit analogy, but you know what I mean? Yeah. My missus tells me, oh, we need a brand new bath, shower, toilet. And I'm going, don't worry, a little bit of sealant around the bottom, bit of bleach in there, sort it all out. That's Tottenham. Just do enough to get by. So have they failed? They failed for what we want as fans. Have they failed for what they set their expectations of the club to be? No. And that's always going to, and I'm not supporting them by that. I'm not supporting them before everyone has a go at me. But this is where fans over here going, we want this. Owners over here going, well, actually, we want this. And that's why we're always going to butt heads. Business.
Sav, you've got 25 seconds left of a Levy talk. Otherwise, you're then banned from the stream. We're not allowed. We gave it 5 minutes, guys. We're banned from no more Levy talk. There we go. We gave it the 5 minutes. You got your wish.
You brought it up, mate.
I did. I gave it the 5 minute warning. And comment saying you're trying to say pressing and competitive. Yet the last team, I'm assuming you're talking about La Liga, has got 13 points. Honestly, get a grip. This season's relegation fight has been mad in the Prem. But for me, the relegation fight doesn't relate to quality. That relates to lack of quality. No,
I think he's saying that the relegation fight is mad. That means it's competitive, and fair enough. But I'm not going to tune into.
We were talking about quality over competitive, weren't we?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not going to tune into La Liga to watch the relegation battle, am I? I'm going to say,
exactly.
okay, it might be competitive, but to me, that's not as exciting as the top 5 or the top 4. But yeah, I think what Ant means here is it just because it's competitive, it means it's a good league. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think the Premier League is still up there, but
Yeah, it is.
it's not. It's just overrated in my opinion now, and just because something's competitive, it matters which part. If it's a relegation battle, then no one else is going to want to watch that. You're not going to be tuning in.
Let me ask you a question. I'll ask you a question, and I thought this for years about the Premier League. How many world-class players are applying their trade currently in the Premier League?
I'd say you could probably get it in a handful, couldn't you?
Right.
Max.
Max, yeah. Can you list them?
Oh, do you want me to list them? Do you? Okay, so
go on.
Haaland, Kane,
De Bruyne,
Salah, maybe, and that's probably it. I don't know.
Rodri, we say for what he does, controls games.
If you want to count, I know he's had a bad season this year, but if you want to count Van Dijk, maybe.
Yeah, I think I think you could just about throw Van Dijk in there.
Maybe one of the keepers, Alisson or Edison, but that's about it. That's about it, really.
Right, and that's what I've said for years: is all the best players applied their trade outside of the Premier League. When you look at World 11s, right? You look at the World 11s when they're announced, the Ballon d'Ors when they're announced. How many of them? Yeah, Casemiro. How many of them come from the Premier League each year?
No, it hasn't been like that for. Do you know what? The last time, and I'm not saying this because of Chelsea, but the last time I remember, when you got all these awards and things like that, when you win the Champions League is when your club gets all these not Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You get all the awards, best keeper, best this, best that, and it's always the Champions League winners, and that's the thing, isn't it? We've hardly won it from English clubs, and that's why our players are not up there. But
you're not seeing. All right, Haaland's come over at a young age, but you're not seeing Mbappe joining the Premier League, right? I've not seen the Xavis, the Iniestas in recent times join the Premier League. Messi didn't join the Premier League. All of these people that we're always talking about the Premier League being the best, but when I look at it and go, where's the quality now? Honestly, if I take Man City out of it, remove Man City, where is the out and out quality of players that have done it for years and years? I'm not talking about Saka's having a good year or Odegaard's coming into his own now. Where are the players that do it year in, year out in the Premier League now? Where are they?
Well, I was going to say, Messi was the best example, isn't it? He didn't come to the Premier League, but look how many goals he scored against Premier League teams. That does it all.
Oh, mate, he didn't struggle, did he? He didn't struggle against Premier League teams. And everyone always said, but could he do it in the Premier League? I watched the standard of defending in the Premier League, and I truly believe if Messi had played here, I think
whatever team he played for, it battered everyone. Like, the guy was incredible. I think this notion, but you're right. It's a sense of we talk about the Premier League in this sense, but actually, some of the best some of what you would consider in air quotes the best players in the world don't play here. As I said, we've listed Then we listed 5, didn't we? So
can you bring up something for me?
Go for it.
TB at 148.
Yeah. Where is it? I can't. Oh, yep.
Right. Now, here's the difference, TB. This is you're making my point for me. This is the point. It's the same in all leagues. You've got 1 or 2 teams that have got all the top players, and the rest of it is all very much of a muchness. But the difference is people like you are making it out that throughout the Premier League, from 1 to 15, there's quality players everywhere. And they're simply not. Tottenham Hotspur could get the Champions League this year, and we've got players like Højbjerg, Skip, Emerson Royal, Dyer, Davis. These people are starting week in, week out, and we could get Champions League. So this is my point. You remove the Man Cities, you remove the Real Madrids, the PSGs, the Bayern Munichs. All the leagues are pretty much the same in terms of quality. But if I watch Spanish football, like I watch Atletico Madrid, they got some quality players at Atletico Madrid, have had for years. I even watched Sociedad this year and Betis. Some of the football these teams have played have been really, really good, right? But because they're not in the Premier League, we go, oh, it's only Real Madrid and Barcelona. No one else is any good at football, and that's not true at all. So TB, you're arguing against your own point, right? I said remove Man City. You said remove Real Madrid and Barcelona. At least Spain have got two. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Spain have got two clubs with star-studded players. Take out Man City. Who? All right, Man U have got, all right, Casemiro. Other than that, a Man U littered with stars?
It's bang on.
I don't think they are.
No.
Are Newcastle littered with stars, or are they just a good unit?
Yeah. Arsenal, I've said it for all along. I don't think they've got a world-class player in their team, but they've got a very, very good squad. I said and I think that is exactly it. I think someone did. I think it was someone mentioned saying it's all about systems in the Premier, but we weren't. The whole point about that wasn't that we were talking about that in the sense of a system based. We're talking about individual quality.
Exactly, and look at TB's response of, "Oh yes, Arsenal are rubbish." My favourite saying: two of these and one of these, right? Because you're not using these. No one's saying Arsenal are rubbish, but who in Arsenal's team has been at the top of their game for the last 4 or 5 years? Before this year, who in Arsenal's team is everyone saying is a top player in world football? Because last year I'm hearing Odegaard's been a flop. Yeah? Xhaka's rubbish. Partey's been okay. Right? Martinelli hasn't really done a lot. Jesus is a Man City reject. Ben White, crap from Brighton. All of a sudden they're having a good year, and TB and people. This is the thing. You're arguing with yourself.
Yeah,
you're not listening. Arsenal were a very good football team, by the way, and I hate saying that as a Spurs fan. Arsenal were a very good football team that have a very good setup. Everyone in the team knows their job, but there's no one in that team I'm looking at and going, yeah, you should be up there for a Ballon d'Or. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not picking a single Arsenal player as a Ballon d'Or winner. Anyway,
No, absolutely spot on in everything that's being said here, really.
See, look, he's a child. Look at his response.
Oh, come on, man. Yes, Arsenal. We're no one saying this. As Mustafa said just a second ago, two of these and one of these. He's not listening. Listen to what's being said. We're trying to incorporate the way that it's being. Incorporate everything that's being said here. You're missing it by a mile, by a country mile. You're missing the conversation. The conversation isn't saying Arsenal are rubbish. What we're saying is they haven't got a superstar. They haven't got an Mbappe. They haven't got a Haaland. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got a Benzema. Absolute world-class players. But what they have got is they've got a massive cohesion. And I said this. This was one of my, we could call it an unpopular opinion if we want to talk about it on my theory is actually Arsenal don't need a world-class player. I genuinely think that they are better not getting a world-class player because of the way that they've built that team under Arteta. Not having a world-class player has benefited them massively. They had the likes of the Aubameyangs and stuff. Didn't work out. The likes of Lacazette. It's not saying they're world-class before anyone says that, but they had that sort of superstar-y kind of player, and it never worked. Mesut Ozil. Now what they've got is they've got young players, talented players, that have turned that team into being potentially a title-winning challenge, and it's a title-winning team, and that's horrible. Yeah, but that's kind of where I wanted to sort of.
So I went on a rant. I hate it when people can't. As I said at the beginning of the show, for me, the biggest thing about talking about football is context. Yeah, it's context. But people don't. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think. Do you know what, Neil Gunner? I think you're probably right. There's not a lot of quality in the league. Some players go for build systems. Yeah. I think that's actually kind of what we're trying to say here. Exactly. Yeah, let's move it on from all this and stuff. And let's talk about the last game of the football weekend of Liverpool versus Arsenal. We sort of glossed into it. Let's just discuss it. So, I thought it was a really good game of football. I thought Liverpool deserved to win. Thought they were the better team collectively. I thought Arsenal started better. I thought Arsenal, when they went 2-0 up, I thought for me, if you're going to go and win the title this season, you have to go and get that third goal. They missed a few chances. Salah got them back in the game. In that second half, I thought Liverpool were the better team second half. What's your thoughts?
Do you know what? When I do enjoy games, is when there's loads, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Obviously, the football is great, and I'm not arguing that, but there's loads of off-the-ball stuff, and there's loads of... So you see Klopp celebrating Salah's penalty when he missed, and I don't know if you saw much about the Robertson and the whole linesman thing. I don't know. I saw that more today than actually watching the game yesterday. But that makes it interesting for the fans, apart from the football itself. But yeah, the game was a quality game. To be fair, I only saw bits of it here and there, and I wasn't watching it the whole 90 minutes through. But it was a quality. You can tell it was end to end. But I mean, attacking wise, it was quality. Defending wise, it wasn't that great. But I sort of enjoy the off the ball stuff as well, just as much. And I like the atmosphere. So you can tell with two big teams playing, and if you want to call Liverpool a big team this year, instead of just the odd team against a bigger team.
Sav, what's your thoughts on the last game of the weekend?
I feel that it showed to me, and it's only me, and I'll probably get in loads of stick for this, why Arsenal might not be ready to win a league title. I think they've just massively given the baton back to Man City. I think it's in Man City's hands now. They've got the game in hand.
Well, barring goal difference. Barring goal difference, of course.
Yeah. But the big thing for me is that Man City have got to play Arsenal at the Etihad. And I think they'll take them to the cleaners on that day. I think I watched how I think Liverpool had something like 21 attempts in the game. And that's Liverpool who can't function properly this year. I hate to think what Man City will do to them at the Etihad. Look, I think Arsenal were clinical by going 2-0 up. And then I think top teams see that out. I think top teams get themselves into a shape, don't do anything silly, make themselves hard to beat. They sit in for a little bit, soak up a tiny bit of pressure. And Arsenal just looked all over the place in their defending. They looked all over the place. Salah didn't have a great game, but was always getting in behind them. Alexander-Arnold was giving them all sorts of troubles down the right-hand side. And look, Liverpool probably for me should have won it, but I think a draw was probably fair in the fact that they went 2-0 down. But I don't know, it just showed naivety for me from Arsenal. I think it showed real naivety to be 2-0 up and then be overrun the way they were. Yeah. I thought Saka was non-existent, which is a shame because I think he's a really good footballer. But yeah, listen, I think that's going to turn the tide. I think Man City are on fire at the moment. They're battering everybody they're playing. And I'm looking forward to the Man City Arsenal game in a couple of weeks at the Etihad. I will have my Man City hat on that day.
Of course.
But yeah, I thought it was a great game for the neutral, right? It was a great game of football.
Not supporting either team was great. It was a really good game of football. Agreed. I think you're right. I think the pressure's now on Arsenal. I still think Man City, you're right. I think you're now going to be in that flicker switch mode where now they're just going to, there's a rocket up them. They beat Liverpool 4-1. They beat Southampton 4-1. Arsenal have to go to West Ham, and West Ham will do anything they can not to take points away from them. Not saying they will, but they're a team that will try as hard as they can to do that. I think it's going to be a good end to the season. And do you know what? It's quite nice not being involved in it, however much I wish we were. It's watching it from the outsider, and I think all of us, we're both, all three of us are in that same boat, watching Chelsea and all that, and Spurs, but we're just watching it going, could be a good end to the season, this game. I think the relegation battle is going to be fun to watch. And I think
the thing is, Perchy, I don't know what you guys think, but said it all year. Look, winning a title isn't about, people got, I think Arsenal fans got a little bit too excited about 10 games ago. And said it all along. City are too good to not go on a run. And City at the moment are in the middle of one of those runs where they turn up and they score goals for fun. Haaland or no Haaland, right?
Yep.
And I've said all along, the biggest game is going to be, that settles this, is going to be Arsenal at the Etihad. If Arsenal go to the Etihad and don't lose that game, fair play to them. They deserve the title.
Agreed.
I just don't know if they've got the experience to get over the line. And City have. So while 6 points looks big, I think
it easily be 0 points very quickly. And agreed. I was just going to say, with the thing at the Etihad, what are Man City very good at? Hammering teams. Doesn't matter if you're at top or at the bottom of the league. Man City have it in them to go. If Man City go and beat them 4-0 at the Etihad, that's bigger than just losing a game of football. That's a humbling, and that could be the sway in which could change it. Listen, obviously, I hope it happens. Being a Spurs fan, I don't want to see Arsenal winning the league. Do I think it could happen? It wouldn't shock me the way Man City are at the moment. As you say, with or without Haaland, they seem to just hammer teams now. Mm. And goal difference.
He's gone back to basics. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
I think, I said this to you at the beginning of the season, mid-season, Perchy. It almost felt to me that Pep had got bored and was almost playing his own version of Football Manager within the season. It was kind of like, all right, let me bench De Bruyne, Gundogan, Silva, Walker. Let me put in all the kids and try all these different things. And it was almost got to the stage where it was like, oh, hang on, that's not worked. Let's go back to tried and tested and look at them now. They play this hybrid 4 at the back, 3 at the back, centre back coming into midfield, and they look brilliant. They look phenomenal. And I just really hope they win this league, because they are the best team in the league.
Yep. We're gonna wrap up in a minute. Everyone sort of pushed their sort of channels in the minute. I'll ask one last question. Who's going to win the league? Has, go first.
I think I've said City for a while. I think City, and I kind of want City to win. Then Arsenal, I don't know if I can handle them.
And will it go to the last game of the season?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll be done in maybe 5-6 games. City will pull off ahead. I think Saliba for Arsenal was a big injury. I'm not saying he's world class yet, but I think he's a decent player. And I think he was a big injury. I think they've sort of looked a bit more shakier since he's got injured. So while City have got their players starting to be on form, I think Arsenal's starting to dip the other way. So I think they'll pull away in a few games, maybe 5-6 games.
Yep. Sav, mate, I think do you think City are going to win it? And will it go to the last game of the season?
I think it could go to the last 1 or 2. I just think, as I said, I think if Arsenal get anything from the game at the Etihad, it's theirs. I think if City win that, it's theirs. And then it's just down to belief and fight, isn't it? And
agreed.
The problem is with Arsenal, it's very much they're relying on the same 11 players week in, week out. And what you saw yesterday was, when they don't turn up for big games, who have they got? So, look, I'll sit here though. I don't want to be a salty Spurs fan, as they say. If Arsenal win this league, fair play to them.
Agreed.
If Arsenal go and win this league from where they were last year, then fair play to them. They've done really well. And I'm not one of these people who thinks if they finish second now they've had a bad year. I think what a phenomenal season they've had either way. A coming of age season.
Agreed. Oh, I think I completely. Whoever wins the league deserves it, and I say that all the time. I've always said that. Guys, in the chat, thank you so much. We're going to wrap up in a second. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming on. It's been I've had a really good time. It's been a nice chat. Has, plug away, mate. You've got a new channel, and I want everyone that's still in the chat to go and sub to this man's channel. I'm going to put the link into the chat now. Go and sub to this man.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like I mentioned earlier, when the unpopular theory about the Premier League, hopefully there'll be more episodes like that. It won't just be football, it'll be other things, but I'm looking to have a football section every month. So that would be great if you guys could go and sub. It would be really helpful, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Yep, and guys, I've just popped it into the chat. So if you're in the chat now, guys, go and sub to this man. New channel. Off the topic, it's a bit of new series coming out every week. And Sav, mate, go on, plug away, mate, because we know all about the football heritage. But go on, do it.
Yeah, just listen, trying to chase down the 4,000 mark, struggling, to be honest. I've kind of been at the same number now for about 3 weeks. Hasn't helped that I've been on holiday, but yeah, hopefully a few people can come over and sub and hopefully get me to 4K. We'll do a big giveaway at the 4K stage. And yeah, Football Heritage TV, mainly Spurs. I mean, most of 75% of my content is Spurs, but I like to do videos about all football. I think it's really important to sometimes take a step back from your own club and talk about what else is going on in the world rather than this obsessive kind of nature of just being within your own club. So, yeah, that's me. I think most people in here probably have subscribed. If they haven't, please do. And please get over and subscribe to the Unpopular Theory podcast. I think it's a good concept.
Thank you.
It's different. And yeah, I think subscribe to everyone.
Of course.
Share the love.
Share the love, sub to everyone, guys. You don't have to. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps everyone in the community out if you help each other out. Listen, that's the way it is. Sub to everyone. Listen to everyone's opinions on everything. We are going to wrap up, guys. Again, final words. Thank you very much, and peace out, and have a good week. Ciao.
See you guys later.